Go to the gray water.
Hey all, my name is Luke. I make bags from high performance materials that would otherwise be discarded. Today I'm back in the boat barn. Wanted to do a quick update video on the boat project because it has been far too long, but I have still been working on it in the evenings here. Now that winter is over, the temperatures are a little bit more agreeable, although it's not bad being in the full suit that I made. You know, I can just put on some extra layers and be warm. So once it starts getting warmer here, especially as we get to summer, it'll be a little more uncomfortable to be doing fiberglass work. I'll be pretty sweaty. But anyway, here's what I've been doing in the meantime. I've been doing a lot of fiberglass work, so filling in holes where the Genoa tracks used to be, where all sorts of hardware used to be that we're going to move to different places. But the main project over the last couple months here has been these new bulkheads that make the cockpit a little bit smaller and the interior living area, the cabin, a little bit bigger. So this boat was built as a racer cruiser, so it was meant to have, 12 people on board for when they're doing races. So they wanted a really big cockpit. And that's not the way that we're going to be using the boat, so we wanted more interior living space, and the cockpit is still plenty big even with these modifications we made. So this was my first mold project. Big thanks to Chris and Tom for helping me figure out how to do it basically, and I think it turned out okay. I've already glassed the starboard side. I still need to glass the port side, but the foam is all there, it's all ready to go, just waiting on a little bit more resin so I can get that done. But other than that, it's been a lot of grinding out holes, sanding, filling with fiberglass foam, and some vinyl ester resin. So we're using the same kind of resin that they built this boat with. Some of you might have seen the video that I made of helping Chris and his wife Allie deliver their newly acquired Swan down here to Oregon. Big thanks to my wife, who was the only one who didn't get seasick and really saved the day there. But it got me thinking about, this boat, we're going to be using it a little bit differently than the Swan, because this thing doesn't weigh 17 tons. It weighs about like 5,000 pounds or so. So it's a super light 38 foot, and it's a 10.24 meter water line. So the water line is a pretty good length, and it's made from carbon fiber, at least the hull is. So it's stiff. But the way that we're going to be living aboard and cruising on this thing, we're going to have to do our best to avoid unfavorable conditions because it is light, so it is not going to be as comfortable in a heavy seaway. But if the conditions are right, we can get from point A to point B really quickly because this boat was built to be quick. And the other mitigating factor that makes me sleep a little bit better at night is that the weight of this boat is all in the right place. So it's got a bulb keel with most of the weight on that bulb, and the engine is going to be right center, kind of a little bit towards the back, but right under the companionway here behind me. And the tanks are right amidships, right on either side there. So it's really about making sure that the rest of the weight of systems that we install, rudder, anchor, locker, all that stuff, is distributed evenly. So once I'm done glassing the port side bulkhead here, the next big project will be to tackle this aft part of the cockpit. So they used to have that cassette rudder steering mechanism, and the point of that, I think, was to be able to pull up the rudder to go into super shallow areas. But they ended up adding a trim tab onto the rudder anyway, so it wasn't possible to pull it up anymore. And it was just super heavy, not very efficient, took up a ton of space, and all the foam back there was super waterlogged. So that was a pretty nasty job ripping that out of there. But the next project that I'm going to take on once these new bulkheads are done is to take out this plywood floor that I put in here as a temporary kind of template mock-up thing to show how high the cockpit deck is going to be, and start filling in that ginormous hole that resulted from me pulling the rudder cassette steering system out of there. Yeah, hopefully it'll get a little more exciting soon. It is a little bit better than just straight up grinding because I'm actually adding stuff back to the boat now. So that feels really good, but progress is still a little slower than I would like. Ideally, I'd be able to spend more hours on this project and get it done a little bit quicker, but I have to be in the shop making bags, 5-6 days a week, and I get to spend the evenings on this project and maybe one day of a week, the whole day working on it. So still hoping to do it in the 2 to 3 year timeline, but as with some other boat projects on YouTube you might be following, that 2-year timeline tends to just kind of be a rolling 2-year timeline. So we're gonna do our best to avoid that. And it'll mean some longer nights and some longer weekends and stuff, but I think in the end to have a nice, lightweight, but yet safe and comfortable boat that we can live on and sail around, I think it'll all be worth it. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.